Hello everybody, welcome to race 3 of the Velocity Online Racing iRacing Bitcoin Super Speedway Series. We are here from Talladega Superspeedway, the biggest, the most realist super speedway in the world, and of course in the US too, because that's in the world too, but oh well. That's a great intro, isn't it? But we are here from Talladega. It's a NASCAR oval, but we are doing it in the IndyCars because, well, why not? It's summer. We don't have anything better to do. So, 66 laps ahead of us here today. Qualifying just completed with all the runs of all the drivers. Before we go green and grid up, let's take a quick look at the schedule before we get going for today's race. So, looking at the remaining of the schedule, of course, today we go to Talladega. Tomorrow we will be racing at Michigan. The day on the schedule graphic is wrong, by the way, but it's on a Sunday, of course, July 24th. 88 laps. Then next week, on Friday, we go to iRacing Super Speedway for 58 laps. And then on Sunday, July 31st, we complete the fastest 3 weeks in racing on iRacing at Untitled Speedway, the final race of the VOR Super Speedway Series. Of course, this series title sponsored by Bitcoin Sim Racing. If you want to find out more, go to bitcoincore.org to read more information. But here we go for the third round of this Super Speedway Series. Before we go green, I want to apologize if my voice is a little bit, I guess, different to what you're used to. Had a late night last night, so yeah, we are here though, 100% sharp, I can guarantee you. So let's go racing here for 66 laps around Talladega Super Speedway. So let's load up the timing tower with the best lap times of qualifying. Here we go. We should grab this one probably, it's a little bit smarter. So they could have been made on the pole position with a 39.933, which is 60 thousandths of a second clear of teammate Thomas Geisler, of course, unofficial teammate. We don't have official teams in this series, but still close qualifying result between the top two. Sven van Canel and Craig Forsyth on the second row. Then we got Josh Stoltz and Matthias Strauss on row 3, Ty Richter and Blaine Sparling on row 4, D.L. Lemon and Drew White on row 5, and Joshua Tucker, the final car on the starting grid here to take the green flag. So that's qualifying for you guys. So 66 laps of racing ahead of us. Don't know much about the fuel numbers. It's probably going to be quite similar to Daytona, which we actually did with 100% fuel. So I would expect between 22 and 26 laps to be the fuel window. You can probably go 27 if you actually run in traffic. Map 5, save some fuel. Could probably make that work, but just waiting for the final cars to grid up and then we can go racing here from Talladega for the first time in VOR history. In fact, we've never raced here before in the actual regular league, or any of the regular leagues I should say. We didn't do it in the main series in the past, we didn't do it in the Euro series in the past, we didn't even run it in the Christmas Cup in the IRO 5, which we run in December every year. But pace car is rolling with the field of 11 cars taking the green flag here today. It's one more than at the last race. At Atlanta Super Speedway, of course, but 11 cars with us again. So between a 10 of or 14 car field in the first 3 races, which is pretty solid for a fun series. Of course, if you would like to be a part of it next week, or even tomorrow, in fact. I forgot that we were racing tomorrow. How smart. But if you want to get involved in this, it's all super speedways that we run between now and July 31st. If you want to get involved, there's a Discord link in the description where you can check it out and come race with us. Of course, we also have the regular IR18 series, which runs on Saturdays. 2 p.m. Eastern time is when the session opens. 3 p.m. we go green. Of course, it's all on the same Discord, so anything that you want to race with us, you can. But field rolling down the backstretch. Once again, they could have been made on the pole. Thomas Geisler, P2. Van Canel and Forsyth on row 2, Stoltz and Richter row 3, then we've got Strauss and Lemon on row 4, Sparling and White on row 5, and Joshua Tucker in P11. So we're going through turn 3, and then we're going to cruise all the way up through the tri-oval and then up towards the start-finish line. The start-finish line is actually not located in the tri-oval, it's just after it. I think it's something that NASCAR did back in the day to promote closer finishes around this track. Of course, it's basically a sister of Daytona, a little bit wider, a little bit bigger too. It's 2.66 miles in length and not 2.5 like Daytona. It's a good complete line wider than Daytona 2. So pace car gonna pull off here, and then the field will be in control of Dakota the Maid, who will lead us to the green flag. And it's up to him when he decides to go. As we go through the trioval, we are underway. Thomas Geisler with a very poor reaction to the start. And Dakota will have a pretty solid lead across the line. So let's see how long these drivers will stay patient. It's a pretty long race. 66 laps, should take around 40 minutes to complete. So patience is everything in this race. Of course, respect, holding your line is also a pretty crucial part of that. That's Thomas Geisler on the outside now, trying to make it work. As we see one car going to the outside now, that is Matthias Strauss, I believe it is. So the entire field basically single file apart from DL Lemon and Blaine Sparling up on the top, letting the entire field go by. Took us a little moment, but we got the timing tower up on the screen as well. As we see Craig Forsyth come into the pits. Is that for a scheduled stop or is that a penalty? We will have to wait and see. But everybody so far pretty clean and patient. We do see some fighting for position in the back of the field. We got the 15 of Drew White there making a move on, or trying to make a move on DL Lemon on the inside there. Now dropping to the back. As we follow Blaine Sparling on the high side now, on the outside of Tucker. And I do believe Craig Forsyth has a pit penalty now as well. Or there was a black flag, that could be the case as well from the start, so he's got a hole. But either way, he's got a penalty of some sort. He will be out of contention pretty much before the race even starts. Currently lap number 4. As Dakota the Maid has led all of the laps so far. As Thomas still runs in second behind his teammates. Then Von Canel is having a good run on Thomas here. Maybe he will pop to the outside to try and make anything happen. Does have a little look, but he stays in line just like everybody on the right side, and it's still DL Lemon on the high side there with Drew White. No, it's actually Blaine Sparling. It's difficult to tell between those two cars. From a little distance, the wheel pods on just before the rear wheels look a little bit similar. Something that I need to pay closer attention to, but DL Lemon with a nice run on the outside gets past 2 cars. Let's see if he will be able to slot back in line, and yes he does. Still probably deciding to lift off as he has a huge run on the entire field right now. Going all the way around the outside, and he's going to the front, and I think I know exactly what's happening right now. The front runners are trying to save fuel to make this on 2 stops. I think it's going to be a pretty close one. 22 laps on the fuel is what I said, so they're trying to make it on the fuel numbers. But we've got a few people going for it, including DL Lemon, who is to the outside now, going to try to lead lap number 5 here to be the first lead change of the day. Doesn't manage to do it though at the line, still second across that line, which is after the trioval like I mentioned. Got Stultz up on the high side too. Unfortunately, we are having a few issues with the timing tower of SDK Gaming. Not sure what's happening there. But sometimes it just stops updating, so I'm going to have to refresh it once in a while. Of course, I will do that the best that I can. But the entire field now single file. Craig Forsyth shown us out of the race, so he is unfortunately not with us anymore. As he has took it behind the wall. Call it a day. Of course, later on today in real life, we got the first IndyCar race at Iowa Speedway again. It's going to be an exciting race, the Hy-Vee Deals 250 at Iowa Speedway. And I'm really looking forward to that race. Thankfully, it's at 10 p.m. my time, and not like in 2019, I think it was, when it was running at 4 in the morning due to a rain delay. Hopefully that won't be the case today, but the weather over in Iowa seems to be pretty solid though, so I don't think we'll see that. But a real-life doubleheader at Iowa Speedway, which is good because we need more ovals. Of course, if you don't see enough oval racing, don't do enough oval racing maybe, feel free to join the Discord of our league and become a part of it. But Ty Richter now also moving towards the front. Just saw him get by a few cars into P4. And he is catching up towards the lead group, who have stayed single file pretty much since the green flag dropped. As Lemon once again drops towards the back, so he's probably going to time a run to try and go to the front again. Of course, Talladega being so big and wide, you can generate huge runs with all the draft going on. Here as well, you can just see Sven having to lift off the throttle. And whilst we're talking about speeds and drafting, let's get the dashboard up and see how fast these cars are going. 370 into turn 3 for Ty Richter, just behind Sven van Kanel, who got out of shape there, loses some momentum off the corner. As the speeds pick up, let's track Sven van Kanel in the draft of the Thomas Geisler, sorry, just in front. So he's going 386, 87 into turn 1, which just goes to show how big those speeds are around this place. Now, Talladega is really a NASCAR track, but I do know, not exactly who and when and where and exactly all of that stuff, but I do know that IndyCars once tested here. And safe to say they were a little bit quicker than the stock cars. That's all I do know about Talladega and IndyCar history though. Gary Gottsuk can probably tell you more about that. Don't know if he's watching or not, maybe later on, but either way, hello. Blaine Sparling going to the top, letting the entire field go by. Probably going to try to make a good field number here as well, just like Dia Lemon is doing. Of course, remember that Lemon went to the front a few laps ago. Probably decided to change up that strategy because leading here doesn't really get you anything. Apart from headaches. Speaking of that though, Thomas going to the high side now, trying to get by Dakota, his teammate. Across the line it will be Thomas leading, so he will be the first official lead change at the line of the day. So the two race first cars swapping around to try and draft, save fuel. Of course, Thomas led the first half, Dakota led the first half of the stint. Thomas in second, he will now lead. Key thing to mention, by the way, we do have 2 additional sets of tires in the pits. So when these drivers come into the pits, they only have 2 tire sets to put on. If they have to pit a third or fourth time, they can't take tires because they don't have any left. So that's also a strategy element of the Super Speedway Series. 80% fuel tanks, which is 56 liters, 14.8 gallons for the Americans. But Joshua Tucker now to the outside, getting a huge run on the entire field. He will shoot all the way up to 3rd place now. Almost got by Dakota for 2nd. Let's look at this run here from Joshua Tucker. There he is, pulls out of the draft. Everybody in fuel safe mode probably. There's Joshua going by Josh Stoltz on the outside and Matthias Strauss on the inside as well. Now Josh will probably get the momentum off the corner, which he does right here. Great run out of turn 4. And everybody in fuel safe, like I said. So they will all be running lower on speed. Joshua in lap 1 flies by. Matthias Strauss here as well in turn 1. So he will go by. And he will also pick off Ty Richter. As we now go a little bit further into the race, this is lap 14. Joshua Tucker now going to the outside. He will take P2 with Ty Richter following him, and he will actually take the lead too. So let's go back live and look at the racing going on, because look at this, it's Joshua Tucker out in the lead, Ty Richter just second across the line. Thomas Geisler slips to third. Drew White fourth in the 15, and then we got Dakota DeMade in fifth. Of course, he was leading in the opening stages of the race. He will fall back now as we go 3 wide through turn 2 down the backstretch. And the racing really picking up now, so probably approaching the pit window. Of course, if you are gonna pit, you want to be as far up the field as you can to not lose any time on pit entry. Of course, if you are near another car, you have to take into consideration when they will start to brake. You can't actually do your own thing. You have to pay attention to what they're doing. And because of that, you're always going to play it a little bit more cautious. And being cautious is going to lose you some time, as Matthias Strauss almost gets hit by Thomas Geisler on the inside, but the two fine without contact. Drew White and Joshua Tucker, by the way, both up 8 spots right now. As Drew White in his second VOR start, though in the Super Speedway Series, will move up to second. As we follow Sven van Canal now, he will slip back. And I'm going to be saying this countless times, just drivers dropping back. That's really what they're doing. It's not actually them getting past or struggling for speed. They're just trying to save fuel in the draft, because if you run in line, you can actually save a lot more fuel. Of course, remember now as well, Sven is in that clean air. It's on the outside line. He doesn't have any car in front of him, so he will actually be burning fuel. So he will try to slot back in as soon as he can, which should be right about here. In just a second, and there we go. Cross the line. Should slot back into the low line, which he just does right there. So it took him a little while, but he got there in the end. Almost took him a complete lap. As he will now generate a big run again. And just look at all the cars slowing down on the straight. That's actually a little bit dangerous if you're running behind. You gotta be careful to not run too closely behind, which of course these drivers should be aware of. They race against each other so many times, so they know how they race and all of that stuff, so I don't think it will be an issue. But if you're new to open wheel racing, the closing rates in these cars compared to the stock cars, for example, at Talladega, it's just so much quicker, so there's much less time to react if there's anything going wrong in front of you. So it's a good thing that these drivers stay patient. 19 laps in of this 66 lap at the Talladega 175. As Matthias Strauss goes to the top, probably going to try to let Sven by, but decides to lift off and not go try anything. But Ty Richter now up towards the race lead. Joshua Tucker slips back to second. He will save fuel behind Ty. Those two are unofficially teammates as well. And never mind what I just said. Tucker going to the outside now to retake the lead. To start lap 20. But what I was about to say just a moment ago, this Super Speedway Series title sponsored by Bitcoin Sim Racing. Of course, Bitcoin is the company behind all of it, so if you want to learn more, go to bitcoincore.org, check it out, and you can join the world of cryptocurrency. And as one of the graphics on the top right says, you can be your own bank. There we go, right there. Perfect timing in the slideshow. So, on lap 21 now. Approaching the first round of pit stops. I don't think it will be too far away. But Joshua Tucker out in the lead, doing the same thing that he did last week. Start in the back and run towards the front. Of course, leading most laps, and the biggest mover gains you some bonus points, as well as starting from the pole does. But the pole award already went to Dakota DeMade with that huge qualifying run. Almost a 10th clear of teammate Thomas Geisler. There comes Dakota on the high side again. Look at the momentum he's got on the entire field, going all the way around the outside. He's going to go towards the lead, I can guarantee you. There he goes, around Joshua Tucker he goes. And Dakota's actually coming into the pits, so he timed that perfectly to get just in front of the field and come into the pits. That was risky, but he made it work. Made up a chunk of time on that pit entry, and that was perfect execution by Dakota the Mate in the 82. So right around the 1/3 mark of this race is when the fuel window would open. And that's when these drivers will come into the pit. So Joshua retakes that lead, of course, after Dakota took it for just a second, as Dakota now stops in his pit box. Tires and fuel going in and on the car. And when we get this pit cycle underway, I want to have a look at that pit entrance by Dakota. That was amazing. As the entire field now coming to pit road, Joshua Tucker, Ty Richter, Sven van Canel gonna stay out. He will take the race lead. Thomas Geisler in, Drew White in. Everybody seems to slow it down just in time. Josh Stoltz, Matthias Strauss and Blaine Sparling, all the cars on pit road. So that's 7 people, sorry, on pit road. Dakota just left it. As Dio Lemons, also one car staying out. And actually, let me correct myself, he just pitted a lap ago. 1 lap before Dakota the Mate, I missed that, I apologize, but he's back out. So Sven van Canel, the only car still out on track, and he's going to lose some time probably of running on his own at a slower speed, but he will be 100% good to go and good to push to the end though, as he slows it down here for the pits. And he will be good on the speed limit. As the entire field now exits the pits. I was about to say it's a clean pit cycle, but it is not, as we have the first yellow out on the track, and that is for Matthias Strauss, who has lost it on the apron in turn 2, I think it is, as he takes the car behind the wall. That's day done for him. As we are now under caution for the first time today. So, whilst we are under caution, I want to go back a lap and see that move that Dakota pulled on the entire field. Alright, here he is. Look at him, cut across the entire field there to come into the pits. That was amazing. So Sven van Canel, with that yellow, he will actually take the race lead as the field slows down to pace car speed. So Sven gonna be out in the front for this restart. It should be double file restarts. And let me actually go in there and make sure that it is a double file restart. Whilst you guys look at the schedule, I will go over that actually too. But there we go, change it to double file restart. So, of course, today, Talladega Superspeedway, we got Michigan coming up tomorrow at the same time as today. Of course, noon Eastern US time. We go live at 12:30, or just a little bit earlier than that. But that's when the green flag will fly. Then iRacing Super Speedway coming up on Friday, July 29th, 6 days from now. And then 8 days from now on Sunday, July 31st, the final race of the VOR IndyCar Super Speedway Series. Of course, all in partnership with Bitcoin Sim Racing. Coming up here in the next week and a day. So with the entire field doing green flag stops, apart from Sven, of course, we are now all good to go to the end. On one more stop, I should say. So, 40 laps to go. Safe to say it's been an interesting race drafting-wise here so far today. It's a little bit different to what I was expecting. I thought everybody would be running single file until lap 50 or so and then start going for it. But we see people go towards the front, drop back again to save fuel. And I have to say it's been very entertaining so far. So hopefully for the rest of the race we can keep that up. Of course, we've got 2 cars out of the race now with Matthias Strauss and Craig Forsyth. I don't exactly know what happened to Craig yet. He hasn't said anything over in the paddock yet as well, so still an unknown as to why he retired, but we saw Matthias Strauss on the inside of turn 1 there. just a moment ago. That was what caused the yellow. So we got 1.5 laps left under yellow. So let's take a quick look and see what happened to Matthias Strauss. So on the pit exit here, running on the apron, actually gets 2 wheels on that flatter surface. The banking on the apron is progressive, and boom, slides right up the track and back down again. And he's got the heavy damage to the right side and also the rear side of the car. And I want to go back again and play this in slow motion. So let me try and grab an onboard angle here. So you can see right there where the white car just in front is driving, that's actually banked. Not sure how much exactly it is, but the apron on the far left, on the actual inside of the track, is completely flat. And if you get 2 wheels on that flat surface, of course you do the math, it doesn't really work. So you lose the car, slides up the track, and Dakota actually has to go up the track to avoid him, and might have gotten a penalty for that too. I'm not sure on that one, but either way, it's an exit for Matthias Strauss. As we got Dakota going into the pits, as well as Blaine Sparling and Dio Lemon. So those cars topping off on fuel, gonna try to stay out and get lucky with a yellow, I guess. So that leaves the top 6 out on track. And they all pitted on lap 23 with the exception of Sven, who pitted their lap later, of course. So here we go. 1 lap to green. We will be going back to 240 mph pack racing at Talladega Superspeedway in the VOR iRacing IndyCar Bitcoin Super Speedway Series. A race that was started from the pole by Dakota DeMade. He got passed by first Thomas Geister for the lead, then Joshua Tucker, and Ty Richter even went to the lead as well. Dakota dropped back all the way to 6th or 7th. So he went to save fuel. Same that Thomas Geiser did, by the way, and also a few other cars. And with all the moving around, I lost kind of lead changes, but we've got a good few of them. So we are in for a very entertaining 39 laps that are left to be run here today at Talladega Superspeedway. Want to quickly take a look at the fastest lap speeds of the day. It's a 39.75 for Blaine Sparling. That's the fastest lap of the race. Of course, those speeds all achieved in draft. So, double VOR restarts. For the first time, we're actually doing it correctly. So it's going to be interesting how this will all play out. First gear might be a little tricky with the Super Speedway wings. So we'll see how that goes with getting off that green flag command. It's a little tricky with the wheel spin sometimes. So let's see how it goes. Pace car is off. The start-finish line all the way in the tri-oval. Remember that I said that too at the beginning of the race. So up until then, from now, it's all up towards the leader when they want to go. So green is out from Cannell and Tucker on the front row, and Tucker gets a very poor run off the line. Sven's off and away, just like Dakota did. He just took off. Already has a 3.5 tenths lead, but now the draft will kick in for Tucker behind the second. So he will close that gap right back down again. As everybody behind picks up that draft, gains a lot of speed. Ty Richter almost getting in the back of, I think that's Josh Stolt in the 99. Dakota DeMade still running in 8th, down 7 spots. He started from the pole, of course. He was one of the cars that topped off on fuel on that last yellow. As here we go. Tucker to the outside now to try and take the lead. And he will lead across the line. We'll slot back to the low line to sort the entire field out again. Dio Lemon going into the pits, probably had a penalty for a closed pit entrance. Or maybe even a pit speeding penalty under that yellow. So he will lose a good half a lap, maybe even a full lap, if he's not careful enough. Alright, whilst we're following the cut of the mate, let's actually go on board with him here, see how it's going for the 82. Here we go. Very much lifting off in turn 2. Down the backstretch too. Look at the entire field slowing down there. So everybody trying to run to a fuel number still, which is interesting. I thought they would be good to go by now. Still 36 laps to go, so it's not like you're going to make it on no more stops. That's not possible for sure. Oh, as we have a yellow flag, that is for DL Lemon, who has spun to the inside of the track between the tri-oval and turn 1. So he will cause the caution for the second time today as the field slows down again. Not sure what happened to DL exactly. Let's see if we can find it. Exits the pits here. In the 21 Bitcoin car, of course, title sponsor of this league. And boom, just loops it on the pit exit. And the field screams by there. And yeah, what DL is doing right here, he's trying to rejoin the track. Yeah, because he is actually reversing closer towards the racing surface, there's a certain distance that you can drive or stand still in on the inside of the track, which will not trigger a caution. But if you cross that little section, which we don't know exactly where it is, but it's somewhere, if you cross that, it will actually trigger the caution. So it's not like DL really did anything wrong there. He just tried to reverse the car, spin it around and rejoin, but he crossed some sort of section of track which triggered the iRacing yellow. So that means that we are now under the second caution of the day. As we pick up the cut of the mate again, he was in the back of the field. Now DL Lemon is the red lantern at the back. One lap down. As he is up on racing speed, trying to catch up towards the pack. Second fastest lap of the race though is in the hands by DL Lemon. So the speed definitely there in the car. As we got Blaine Sparling in the pits as well as the cut of the mate, again topping off on fuel for the second time. Biggest mover in the race though, still Joshua Tucker in the Let's Race number 77. And I won't give too much away, but in partnership with Let's Race, we will be doing something very interesting in the coming weeks. It should be announced today, in fact. If I can get everything ready to go, it will be announced on the Discord, but until then, I will keep my mouth shut. Of course, if you want to be a part of VOR's IndyCar regular series or the Super Speedway Series, go in the description of the broadcast. There you can find a Discord link to join, and you can apply over there and get everything sorted. We will, and you can get racing with us on Saturday afternoons. And Josh is a NASCAR Technical Institute student. That's pretty interesting. Didn't know that about him, but I guess I do now. I'll have to ask him about that sometime. If he wins this race, I might even interview him. I usually don't do interviews for the Super Speedway Series at least. But I guess we can do the winner of the race, so hopefully Josh wins it, so I can ask that question. So we got one more lap of pacing coming up, so let's do a quick through the field of where the driver started and currently runs. So Josh Stoltz started 5th, runs in 1st, out in the lead. Joshua Tucker started 11th, up 9 into 2nd. Von Canel still where he is and where he started the race. Thomas Geisel lost 2 spots as Tucker actually going to go into the pits, so we'll go through the field there in just a moment. But Thomas Geisler stays out, moves up a spot. So does Sven van Canel. And those guys all topping off on fuel. So we are halfway in the race right now. I'm not sure if you can make it on one stop. I don't think you can, but I said this in the PMRR race at Iowa too. Jesper Uhrmann went 80 laps on a fuel tank. So never say never in terms of fuel numbers. But as far as I'm concerned, the fuel window is between 22 and 26 laps like we've seen today. So, tomorrow we will be racing for 88 laps around the Michigan International Speedway for the 4th race of the Super Speedway Series. Then Friday, this upcoming Friday, July 29th, we'll be at iRacing Super Speedway. Again, we've never raced there before in the IndyCars for VOR, not even a special event, so that will be a very much first for the league itself, not so much the community because they've run there in other leagues of course, but Talladega Speedway, the final race of the Super Speedway Series. Schedule on July 31st, Sunday, next weekend. So the VOR restarts again here at the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. Lapped cars will be dropping to the back like Matthias Strauss and Craig Forsyth, for example, would have been, but they are not racing anymore. I think the entire field in the inside line decided to stay single file for this restart. It is allowed by the rules technically. So the 21 of Lemon will be up on the outside in the second row. Of course he's a lap down, but field in control of Josh Stoltz. Approaches the Geico restart zone and he picks up the pace to retake us to racing speeds. As DL drops down low now, lets Sven by, and so does Thomas. He goes to the inside now. As we're going 3 wide into turn 3. Stoltz on the inside, Van Canel in the middle, DL Lemon on the high side, but there's also the 15 of, sorry, not the 15, or it is the 15 of Drew White. On the top. Got confused by the red number 15 in the timing tower when it's a black and pink car. Oh, as we have an incident between Lemon and that is for sure the 15 of Drew White, but there's another car involved. I'm not sure who it is. It is Joshua Tucker in the 77, so he was leading for a good portion of this race, but now out after 34 laps of racing. And also heavy damage to the 15 of Drew White. He's got no right front anymore. So that's an exit for 3 cars, including DL Lemon, who was a lap down. Not sure what exactly happened there. We'll get up a replay in just a moment. But we are under the 3rd caution here of the day, as the racing is definitely heating up. Alright, let's have a quick look. And that's DL moving up to the top there. Not sure why he did that, to be fair, because I'm sure he would have heard there's a car on the outside there, that he was in the middle of a 3 wide situation. But still moves up the track and, well, collects 2 cars just like that. And those were front-running cars too, by the way. So big shame for those two, Drew White and Joshua Tucker. Not so much for DL11 because his race was already done pretty much anyway, running a lap down in such a short race distance. But very unfortunate, it has to be said, for all of the cars to be out this early, just past halfway. So Josh Stoltz still in the race lead. He will be picked up by the pace car. He pulled away 11 seconds on the entire field. Not sure it will matter though, because I think everybody will come into the pits, and from here they're gonna try to, I guess, play God and make it on the fuel save. Wouldn't surprise me if you see cars peel off with 1 lap to green to try and pit. Drew White though still running around with without a right front on the car. Not sure how he's doing that, but Hopefully for him the repairs won't be too long. I think it will be terminal damage though. As Stoltz will stay out. Of course, Drew White is going to have to come into the pits to get that damage hopefully repaired for him. Possibly, I'm not sure on that one, but Thomas Geisler also stays out. So the top 3 running around now stay out, everybody else in to top off on that fuel. Drew White for repair works on the car. So Ty Richter actually overshoots his pit stall, so he will lose some time and a few positions, but Blaine Sparling back out with tires and fuel. Dakota De May also the same. And I'm curious to see how long Tucker and Drew White are going to have to take their repairs. And yeah, Drew White's damage is terminal. Yes, they will be done. Just towed to the pits, and I think the same can be said for Joshua Tucker. So let's go back and look at it from the onboard angles if we can, from Drew White. And here we go. Let's look at it from slow-mo and go a little bit further back. It's probably a good idea. So that's DL moving to the top. Joshua nowhere to really go. He tries to avoid him by going right, but the two already made contact. And then for Drew, there's literally nowhere to go. He was a complete victim in that. Just nowhere to go for the 15. And well, you see the end result right there of a broken right front suspension, probably some side pod damage too, and maybe even some right rear suspension damage to go with it. As we will now go back and see what happened to Joshua Tucker. And you will see that right here. He tries to turn right to avoid contact, but it's already too late. And yeah, the two cars collide with Drew White. As I said, nowhere to go. Good job by the rest of the field though to drive around the wreck. Thomas guys are going to the apron to take evasive action. And also, who is that? Is that the... who's that? I can't tell who it is. It's Blaine Sparling, I think, who went to the apron. Way to the inside of the track to avoid it. Alright, so we've got 30 laps to go. 29 now. Coming across the line. That one will go green with 28 to go. So it's going to be very, very close on the fuel. And you can see everybody behind come into the pits to top off on fuel. It's Blaine Sparling, Dakota De May, Ty Richter. And, well, Drew White still in the pits. So those three guys coming into the pits to top off on fuel. And they will try to make it work. Of course, if we don't have any more yellows, I think the top 3 that stayed out are guaranteed to have to pit. But from 4th until 6th, it's gonna be very difficult to save the fuel. But if you run in map 5 and maybe even go map 8 at some points and really lift off, I think you can make it work. Because I think the front runners will be trying to save fuel as well. So you're already gonna be running at slower speeds. And with all the drafts, of course, the air that's being cut in front of you, I think these guys have a very decent shot at making it. It will be very close though. It's going to be oh so difficult to save that amount of fuel. Because remember, this is a 2.66 mile track. If you have to save 4 laps of fuel, you better be of a similar skill level to Scott Dixon to save that fuel without falling too far back. Alright, pace car is off. Let's try this again with 28 laps to go at the line. including that 66 lap. So Josh Stoltz on the pole. On the outside we got Sven van Canel, Thomas Geisler in third, Blaine Sparling, Dakota the Maid, and Ty Richter. That's the running order. All the cars that are behind are out of the race or getting damage repaired. So green flag is out. Josh Stoltz picks up the pace again to lead the field to the green flag for the second time today for him, as the field very spread out right now. So let's see the fuel save going on. Ty Richter though racing Dakota the Maid, gonna try to get by the 82. Blaine Sparling though loses a lot of time to the field ahead. Don't want to lose too much. You don't want to lose the draft, because that's gonna make your race oh so difficult to get to the end there. And yeah, he's definitely running off the pace, already saving fuel. That's Ty Richter going by on the high side now to catch back up to the field, as Ty Richter is going for it. Oh, actually he's got a speeding penalty or something, so he will have to come into the pits to serve that. And he will be out of contention pretty much with 27 laps to go. So it's now between Blaine Sparling and Dakota the Maid to try and save the fuel. Remember though, these guys have to stay with the top 3 in front to save the fuel. They have to run map 5, lift off as much as they can without losing the draft, and only then they have a chance of making it. So Thomas Geisler to the outside now to take the lead from Josh Stoltz. Top 4 within half a second of each other. He made about 8.5 tenths back, but still within drafting range, as he will close back up towards Blaine Sparling now. As Thomas tries to break the draft from Stoltz, but I think it's pretty pointless though. Alright, Stoltz to the outside again, across the line. He will lead that lap. 25 to go in the third of 6 races here for the Super Speedway Series, in partnership with Bitcoin Sim Racing. Of course, bitcoincore.org is where you can find out more about the world of Bitcoin. And Dakota the Maid started from the pole. Might have the winning strategy here today, along with Blaine Sparling just in front of him. These guys both pitted under the last yellow. They pitted with 1 lap to green. That was on lap 37. That is with 30 laps to go. But if you run map 5, you lift off and do not lose the draft, there is a very slim possibility of being able to make it to the end. If there is a yellow though between now and, I don't know, 5 laps to go, I think these guys are going to be very upset about that, because they might have that strategy to win the race, and these guys up front, they for sure do not, because they last pitted on lap 23, 23, 24. That's in order from first to third, by the way. So these guys will definitely have to pit one more time, which might be coming up in the next 6 laps or so. So it's a bit of luck, they rejoin the track just in front, and then of course it all comes into play of, do they let Dakota lead or be in the draft? Because if they let Dakota and Blaine be in the draft, they will of course help them to make the fuel numbers. But if they fall back behind Dakota and Blaine, they will make their life a little bit miserable to try and make that fuel strategy work. So that's something to keep an eye on as the final laps of the race are coming up. 22 laps to go at the line in this Talladega 175. Now, I'm not sure if these drivers have any tires left, so I think it will be a tire rent to the end. It will all be fuel from now. Alright, with 20 laps to go, let's take a quick look at these beautiful static TV cameras and just listen to the cars fly by as we got those all important 20 laps to go. Alright, we got 18 laps to go. I don't know if you guys are hearing this, but I'm definitely hearing low RPMs in these engines. These guys are really trying their best to make as much fuel economy as they can, especially the guys running in 4th and 5th. Blaine Sparling and Dakota the Maid trying to make that fuel strategy work to go the entire distance to the end of this race, as Blaine now goes to the outside to try and get by Sven, which he does, and also Thomas Geisler now. So I think the top two will be coming into the pits, Stoltz and Geisler. And there we go, we got Stoltz pulling off, and also Sven from Canal, that is. Yes, I had to quickly wait and confirm that. So Sven slows the car down as well, and that's Josh Stoltz, sorry, going into the pits. So Stoltz and Von Canal in the pits. They pitted on lap 23, of course, so they weren't good to make it to the end anyway. And they will come into the pits for their final time, as Josh really has a messy pit entrance, goes slides sideways into the box, and he's still crossed over in that pit box, but he is off and away though, as Sven van Canal beats him out on the pits. And now we wait for Thomas Geisler to make the decision to come into the pits. Of course, he was running in that group of cars in the draft. He was letting Josh and Sven lead the way. So Thomas might have saved a lap or two more than they did. So that will, of course, help him. It's going to be a splash of fuel to go the distance from here on out anyway. So you might as well stay out as long as possible. Make that number of fuel, the time that you spend on pit road as little as possible, by extending the fuel as much as you can. And Thomas gonna go one more lap. Last pit lap for Thomas, lap 23. Just had to confirm that with myself in case I wasn't misinformed or something. But he is making very impressive fuel mileage. We are running on lap 52 right now. He pitted on lap 23, so he is approaching 30 laps on the fuel. Of course, we did have some yellows in between there, so that's probably going to be about 26, 27 laps of green fuel numbers that he is making. But that is very impressive indeed. So that's, of course, going to show Blaine Sparling and Dakota the Maid that it is definitely possible to make it. So Richter down 2 laps, he had a penalty. The top 5 still running on the lead lap. Stoltz and Von Canal running together. And they will be right with Thomas Geisler when he exits the pits. So let's see if this pit stop goes smoothly for him. The German from Aachen, which is, hold on, in the south of Germany. There we go. Really had to think for a second there. So Thomas down the backstretch, gets up to speed, and he's actually got a pretty sizable gap to the guys behind. He's got about 4 seconds on them. So a great pit cycle for Thomas, nailing the pit entry and exit. Of course, he will be in clean air with Sven van Canal and Josh Stoltz being in draft together. So they will probably close the gap within a few laps. But still though, very impressive by Thomas to make that work. Blaine Sparling though, out in the lead with Dakota DeMate in second. It's between these two for the win, I'm pretty sure. As Blaine is up 7 spots right now. Dakota started from the pole, down 1 in second. Thomas down 1 in third. Sven down 1 in fourth. And then Josh Stoltz is still where he started the race. Ty Richter and Drew White. Ty moves up 1, and then Drew White and Josh Tucker, despite him being out, they both moved up 3 spots. Dio Lemon, of course, was involved in that incident with White and Tucker. He is in 9th. Not running anymore. And then we got Strauss and Craig Forsyth, who both had issues. Strauss, of course, clipped the apron, spun around, and Craig had a penalty of some sort that we still don't know exactly what it was for. But that's the race update. As we've got 10 laps to go now. I will be very impressed if Sparling can make the distance. Of course, what Dakota is doing right now is really smart. He's not going to go for the lead because he knows that if he can stay behind Blaine, he can actually save more fuel. So if Blaine is a lap or 2 short, which might very well be the case because he's running in clean air right now, Dakota is doing the perfect job right now to stay behind, stay map 5, stay in the draft, just making the fuel numbers that he needs to, so we could see Dakota DeMate with the winning strategy himself now. Of course, this being the only difference in the 2 strategies, with Blaine running out in front and Dakota not. Of course, for one final time, tomorrow we will be racing at Michigan International Speedway for the 2nd race of the weekend, the 4th race in total of the VOR Bitcoin Super Speedway Series. And I can tell you, this will not be the end of off-week racing for the regular series. Of course, if you would like to be a part of the regular series or the Super Speedway Series for the remainder of the season, sign-ups are open on Discord, which you can find in the description, a link to apply there, and you can be on the grid with us as early as tomorrow for the Bitcoin Super Speedway Series. But here we go, Blaine Sparling cannot go the distance. 8 laps to go, he will go in for a splash of fuel, which will leave Dakota DeMate out on track. Just give me one quick second to sort out the overlay issues. It's again freezing for me, I apologize. But Dakota DeMay, though, in the meantime, will come into the pits as well. So he also not able to go the distance. I'm sure it was close, but Dakota couldn't risk it. I think he was going to be just about short on that. So Dakota coming into the pits, which will give Thomas Geisler the race lead back. And he is 4 seconds clear of Josh Stoltz, running side by side now with Sven, getting by him actually. So Stoltz into second position. As Dakota exits the pits now. Still out in the lead though, but Thomas across the start-finish line now. He should be able to pull by with the momentum. So yeah, Thomas moves into the race lead again. There we go, I apologize for the issues there, but we got a race on our hands. Dakota DeMay to the lead. The overlays are back, and just in time too, for 3 laps to go. Blaine Sparling though, in 5th. He was also not able to make it. Timing and scoring for him unavailable right now, but we got a race for the lead between the 2 teammates, Thomas Geisler and Dakota DeMay. Out of turn 4, we're gonna go through the tri-oval. And these guys are 5 seconds clear of the rest of the field, so it's gonna be between these two and these two only. Kind of crazy how 2 completely different strategies are still together on the racetrack. Of course, Dakota pitted under the last yellow, tried to go the distance, but couldn't, had to go in for a splash of fuel. And Thomas, of course, already committed to that, well, in total 3-stop race with all the yellows involved. But 2 laps to go, 13 thousandths of a second between the 2 teammates. And here we go, white flag is out. Still side by side between Dakota DeMay and Thomas Geisler. But Thomas Geisler right now pulls clear, so Dakota DeMay will pick up the draft. He's got the run towards start-finish line. He has to time this absolutely perfectly. Thomas is very slow off of turn 4. Dakota with the draft. Gets the momentum off the corner through the tri-oval. He's going to go to victory lane. I can tell you that much. He edges out a complete car, in fact, on teammate Thomas Geisler. So Dakota DeMay wins the Talladega 175. He timed that run perfectly out of turn 4. And he will take his first Super Speedway Series win of the season. Josh Stoltz, comes home in 4th behind Sven van Kanel, who I believe blinked out already, but Blaine Sparling rounds off the top 5 in what has been a very entertaining race here at Talladega Superspeedway with, I believe, 4 cautions. I've lost count, honestly, but what a race and what a pass for the win by Dakota DeMay on the final lap. And it is a race versus 1-2 unofficially, because we do not have official teams here, but still a great result for those 2. And they will celebrate together as Thomas destroys his front wing on the wall there. But congratulations to Dakota DeMay. as those two play bumper cars on the start-finish line. But that will wrap it up for the Super Speedway racing action here today. Of course, tomorrow we're going to Michigan. Then next week on Friday we will be going to iRacing Super Speedway, and on Sunday Untitled Speedway to cap off the Super Speedway Series season for this summer. Of course, I want to thank Bitcoin Sim Racing for sponsoring the series and all of the races too. And yeah, that's about it. So thanks to everybody for watching. Congratulations to Good Made on the win. Thomas Geiser second and Sven von Canel third. We will see you all tomorrow at Michigan for 88.